What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Johnny I Pro Show. I have here no other than Rohan Raja. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I got to say now, let's talk about the gold right here. PWA Grails title right here. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so like everyone around the world knows, I recently won this in October. And the Champions Grail is such a privilege to hold, man. Because so what it is, they've put so many lineages and so many legacies in the title. So Ricky Dawson's one, and he pretty much is the pioneer of Japanese wrestling. Like New Japan, All Japan started from off his promotion and split off to two essentially. So with the trophy itself, there's like parts of the title that they had to get approval from his family to put on there, which is, it really is like, this is my proudest moment of my career so far. And not only that, Kenny Omega's on it because he won his tournament in, I think it was 2010 in Hollywood. So you got like, there's really cool stuff. If you look at the title really close, you'll see a lot of Easter eggs.
Detailed, yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's still surreal now just to have it with me. And it's something that I'm super blessed to have. Amazing. For sure.
And we're going to talk about that as well, how you got that a little later on.
Cool.
And I got to say now, what got you into wrestling?
So I was a fan like most people, and my granddad, my dad, and my brother were all super fans. So like my granddad, so like I have a Indian heritage. My granddad, if you could picture, he's got like a big beard, wears a turban, and like when The Rock and Austin were having their feud, when The Rock was like really high into his heel character, he would just swear in Punjabi at the TV. He was into it, man. And then it's something that the first kind of glimpse I had, I was around like 3 or 4, and it's something that it was always on. And then eventually it became just me and my brother watching wrestling, and it's just something I fell in love with. Hey, yeah.
Amazing. Now, who are your favorites growing up? You just said some names are Austin and The Rock. Were they any of your favorites growing up?
Yeah, so like it's weird. So when me and my brother talk about like our favorite guys, we kind of like, I love Austin, but it's like that was his guy. So The Rock was mine.
Okay.
But like my 4, I would say, for personal reasons, would be The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, and Kurt Angle.
Wow, that's a heavy duty list.
Yeah,
for
man.
Sure. I was gonna say now, you say every time like your slogan. I seen one time I was watching some old classic NXT. You said British born, Australian raised, and Canadian trained.
Yeah.
Now, how did that all like? How did you?
How did I come up with that? So I've got a lot of like aces up my sleeve, and I don't like to throw them all out at once, right?
Sure.
And I remember super early on when I was like even training with Lance, I would, after training, I'd come home and sit down, and I'd be like, just thinking about stuff like, what should my character be, like what sort of like stands me out from the crowd. And then like right away I was like, my heritage and my background and where I've been around the world, because my dad used to work in the airline industry, so we had to pick up and move a lot. Yeah. So I came up, I can't even remember how it happened, but I was just sitting there and I was just like, I wanted something to rhyme, and then I was just like picturing my backgrounds and stuff, and then I said to myself, sitting there, I still remember it, this apartment in Calgary, and I said, Sikh sworn, British born, Australian raised, Canadian trained. Yeah. And then when I said that, I was like, oh, can I swear on here?
Of course.
Oh, I was like, fuck. I was just like that. I was just like, that's sick. And then like everywhere I've gone, I'll say that like in a promo or something, and everyone just loves it. Yeah. And now it's just like a thing that when it's said, that it just kind of describes me, who I am, like that.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped up when I seen your promo video there. I'm like, okay, that was good. That's what I have to remember. It was like British born, Australian, Australian raised, Canadian trained.
Yeah.
That's like, holy, I loved it. Like I say, you just mentioned Lance Storm as well, his wrestling academy. Yeah. You were there, you trained there. Like, was there any advice that he gave you until you carried to this day?
Yeah, so I think the best thing with, I think like aspiring wrestlers that are listening to this, the best way to do it is have a trainer that knows what he's doing and has a proven track record, right? And with Lance, it was all the small details. So when we were training, he would like pull me up on something that's like very small, and then I'd be like, is he like picking on me or something like that? And then like obviously now it's just like as the time went on, I was just like, he was very stern and hard with the guys that he knew thought that would make it or had a chance or something like that. And those small things I would apply to my matches. I would apply every time I'd have tryouts, every time a scout was at a show or something like that. And I'd just remember those small things. And then those are the things that the big leagues and the big companies will notice. And that's the best thing that I got from Lance.
So it just follows you along. You just keep that with you.
Yeah. And then just like certain things, it's just, I still kind of have his voice in my head, even when I'm like kind of like wrestling in there. And then if I watch something back, I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, oh, Lance is gonna kill me.
I love it. Now, I recently seen as well too. You had Dungeon Wrestling, Calgary, Alberta. You fought Chris Masters. We'll talk about that match there. But now you also met Bret the Hitman Hart. How was that?
Yeah, that's cool. So Bret is my dad's all-time favorite wrestler. So like, yeah. Like everyone loves Bret, and it was surreal, man. So like, so the first time I met him, I was at Storms. And he came in one day. Yeah, dude. And he like came in, spoke to the class. And I remember I told my brother, and my brother's like, no way. And I was like, I took a photo and I sent it to him. And then he's just like, I remember he was just talking about his matches and like what to do, like the do's and don'ts of wrestling. And then the next time I met him, he had this charity event in Calgary. And I got to be part of like, they did like a, there was two charities, and I was like the wrestler of one, and Raj Singh was the other. Yes. And that was another cool thing we did. And then again, was at Dungeon. There's been a few times now at Dungeon, and he's just such a for someone with that caliber and the career that he's had, and like you love him, right? Like he's touched all of us, and it's just like he's just so humble and he's chill, and it's just like it was awesome just hanging out with him and having drinks with him and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. I scrolled down, I seen the photos. I'm like, whoa, I gotta speak on.
Dude, like that was cool. And I was just like, I remember just as he's talking to me, I'm like, fucking having a drink with the Hitman. Like, what? This so it was so weird. And it's just things like that's happened in my career. It's just so weird because like these guys are like my idols, and like, I'm like becoming friends with all these people, and it's so strange,
like
man.
Yeah. Especially
meeting
Bret too as well. We did the event and stuff that just passed, and like he legit takes time with every single fan. It's not like, just like, oh, nice to meet you. Like he'll speak and people will just show him certain stuff. Like he'll actually conversate, so it feels like you actually had like a moment with him.
Exactly.
Which is like, that's what he loves to do.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things too, because you think about how many people he's met, and he's never like pawned anyone off.
Yeah.
So it's just like if I met him, just say I've already met him, but just say if I met him, never met him before, and I was like in a convention, and then he just kind of didn't have too much time, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, yeah, he's busy, he's Bret, right? But he has time for everyone.
That's what they complained, because the sign was supposed to be 4 hours and it lasted 8 hours. And kid you not, he did not leave, no break. He had his drinks with him, no washroom break or anything. Like, it was mind blown. But fans, they complained, they're like, oh, it's taking so long. But the guy's like 60 plus years old. He's not going to finish a lineup of like 600 people in like 2 hours. That just shows you. Like he had a lineup that was like madness. But he made sure that even the faculty people at the end got their photos with and everything.
That's cool.
Never got up once. I'm like, how's this even? That just shows you like the true, like, he appreciates his fans even till this day.
Yeah, and he's like that on and off camera. Like he's
the same.
He's just the same. He doesn't put on a fake persona or anything like that. He's just a genuine good dude.
Exactly. Now we're saying about Dungeon, you also fought Chris Masters.
Yeah.
Master Lock, all that stuff. People know him for. Like, how was that going in the ring with him?
That was cool. So at that time when I wrestled him, it was just fresh of my time with the WWE, and the best thing I loved when I was at the Fed was like the guys that I would work with. It's just, there was just a different caliber like that. I was like, damn, this is like really testing me, and it just it upped my game to that next level. And then when I got in there with him, it really just, like, we just gelled, and it just felt so easy. And like, it was so, when you get in with guys like that, it's so easy just to relax and have fun and just like enjoy the moment. And he's such a nice guy, and like ever since then we've become friends too, and it's just learning off him and just having just having that one-off match, I'm sure I'll wrestle him again, but it was cool, man. And then it was just afterwards, like, just having even Brett talk to us about the match prior and afterwards, and like hearing what he had to say, and it's just like, yeah, it was
overload
really
of these
cool.
veterans everywhere.
Yeah.
It's good for you, like just like a young up, like it's fantastic for you.
Yeah, 100%, because it's something where like I think of my brain like a sponge, so I just try to take in everything, and then eventually, years down the line when I'm in their position, I want to do the same for the next guy coming up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, now we said PWA, you're also the Commonwealth Championship as well. You won.
Yeah. Let's
talk about that as well, because I'm hearing a lot of PWAs here.
Yeah. So there too. So that PWA was it was a company in Alberta.
Yeah.
They so many guys came out of that company. So they primarily ran in Calgary and Edmonton. Those were the two places they'd go. But like Jinder came from there, TJ, Tyson Kidd, Natalia, Garma's kid, me. There was so many guys that there was, off the top of my head, I can't. Oh, Harry Smith was there. Like they had so many people come from this promotion, and that title was the first title I ever won, and that was, I think it was just about a year. Yeah, about a year after I debuted, which was really cool. And it was funny. The ref of that match was Kid Chocolate. If you know
Mojibari. Yeah.
He's like one of my best friends.
We're gonna have him on here as well. We're trying to talk. He's gonna when he comes here. He's always Calgary, Alberta, or Vancouver. He's going all over.
Yeah, he's gone all over. So big congrats to him too. He knows this about winning the Oceania title. But yeah, that was cool too. Just like sharing those moments with people that really mean a lot to you is something that just sticks out. And like Mo's actually been someone that me and him have been together since day one, and it's nice to see. Like we always talk about like all the stuff we've been through, which is really cool.
It's good. Yeah, he's a good guy as well.
Yeah.
And as they say, honorary heart, because he
Brett
talks
yeah. He's Brett's kid at this point.
100%.
Yeah.
I can say now you're a 2-time Battle Arts Tag Team Champion.
Yeah.
Now as well with Sam Osborne. Now that his name pops up a lot as well.
Yeah.
Like now, how'd you get that tag team name, the Ripe Ruse?
Ripperoos.
Very,
okay.
Australian.
Yeah. Very. Okay. So I remember when I first, when I finished wrestling in Western Canada, at that point I was like, I've wrestled pretty much a lot of the guys that are here. I was like, I want to keep developing and get on WWE's radar. That was like my plan. So then Jinder told me that Yuki Ishikawa is a trainer through Santino School in Toronto.
Don Colive, I believe.
Yeah. And then I was just like, oh damn, I want to go there. So I learned Yuki's style, and which I still use to this day. He's great trainer. And then eventually I met Sam there, who's one of my best friends too. And then we got along and stuff, not just because we're both Australian and that, but it was we just kind of gelled a lot. And then I remember this tag team tournament was coming up, and then Santino was like, why don't you guys be a tag team? Like you guys, like in training, we were like working together pretty well. And then I was like, okay, let's do it. And then me and Sam were sitting down and we're like, yeah, dude, we got to come up with like, just like a typical kind of funny Aussie sort of thing. And then I think I said something with Roo, and then he said Ripper. And then I was just like, what about like Ripperoo?
Ripperoos.
Yeah, Ripperoos. And it's like, do you remember that villain from, I think it's Crash Bandicoot?
Yes,
Yeah. I think it was Ripperoo, right?
I believe so. Ripperoo. I believe so.
Something like that. Yeah. And then, then we tested out on the cool thing with the Battle Arts show back then. They would have like proper crowds and everything, but it was like you're still learning and everything. Yeah. And we could test out what worked. And then what we were doing really gelled with the crowd, which was really cool. And then, we became a team and 2-time Battle Arts Tag Team Champions. So that was really cool to tag
you guys are obviously with that name, you guys were a face.
Yeah, but we did do heel as well. Yeah. So like in Battle Arts, it was primarily face, but then when we would do the independents around Ontario, we were more heel. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now I gotta say now, for you, would you call it your first big break with Impact Wrestling?
Yeah. So I think so. I was still tagging with Sam at the point when I had my Impact tryout, and then that was my biggest break at that point so far. And I'd been wrestling for only 2 years at that point. And got signed with TNA, which was great. And that run was meant a lot to me because I learned so much. And just being paired with Gama Singh was really cool. And it's like when I would have my sorry to jump ahead a little bit, but when I would have my tag matches in the Designated Squad with Rohit, Gama was like our manager, and like just say I took a clothesline out the ring or something, he would give me direct feedback about the match in there whilst we're on TV. Wow. And it was so good because it would be like that, like to get a feedback right that quick, it will stick to you like that. Yeah. So there is getting feedback straight after your match is good, but getting immediate feedback like whilst you're in there, like that's the best. And he was he's so great and he's so underrated. Like I really encourage viewers to watch his old matches. Him and Bad News and stuff were a great tag team. But like guys like Brett, Lance, like they all put over Gama because he revolutionized like wrestling like in the early days. And
to get words of like stuff from him that sticks to you till this day for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it just goes to show his knowledge is great, and you can still, the stuff he told me I can still use to this day for
Amazing.
sure.
Now your first match NXT was in Mexico.
In TNA, sorry?
Yeah, TNA, sorry.
So that was my
Impact,
my first Impact match was Windsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in Windsor in Ontario, and my last Impact match was Mexico.
Yeah. Also, it was your last match.
My last match.
Now,
was
but did
Mexico.
you know it was your? Was it like a contractual thing? Did you know it was your last match or?
So when we had the Mexico tapings, before we got to the Mexico tapings, I just knew that because we were on like a good undefeated win streak and everything, and then I knew that we were going to get another bigger push in Mexico. But the only problem we were having at the time was my visa situation, which really has been like
Ruins
a deterrent in my career. Eh? Like it's just always the visa pops up. But Rohit's an American, Gama's dual citizen, so like they didn't have any issues. And Scott was saying at the point, he was like, we're gonna write you off TV and then sort out your visa and stuff like that. But essentially, when I was off TV, I had to think about it, and I was like, they wanted to extend my contract, and then I was like to get the visa and everything, and then I was just thinking, I don't want to be here too long because like I want to be in the WWE by a certain point.
That's like the pinnacle, basically.
Yeah. So then I wanted to get like my foot in the door early on with them, so I can so my name kind of just keeps projecting and keeps elevating, right? And I made the decision to like ask out of my release, and I told Scott at the time, we joke about it now, but he's like, I was like, I want to go to NXT UK or NXT, and then he's just like, have you like been in talks with them? And I was just like, hadn't spoke to him at all. So then I was just like, when I'm out of my contract, I'll contact him for a tryout or something. And then essentially when my contract finished, that's what I did. And then there was a Canada tryout coming up. It was 2019.
SummerSlam weekend.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Part of that. Wow.
It was coming up, and then I emailed them, and they're like, you've actually been on our radar. We're interested, but the Canada tryout is only for Canadians. And I was like, no. And I was just
because you have a British.
I'm a British. I got a British passport and Australian passport. Oh, yeah, okay. But I had a Canadian visa at the time. But like, I was like, oh man, like I banked on that. Yeah. Like I asked out of my release because like I knew I would be able to get a tryout. But then he was like, keep doing what you're doing, but a tryout will happen in the future. And I was like, okay, I was just like,
at least something good.
Right, yeah. And then because I'm so strict on my diet and training and everything like that, I was like, you know what? I think I might just like take it easy for a little bit and like, just relax and like not be so strict in my diet. Just as I was about to do that, I got another email from him saying I'm in the tryout.
No way. How long was that after?
I think it was like 2 days.
Oh, so you're on the radar for sure.
Yeah. It's just like 2 days
before this guy goes somewhere else or does something.
Yeah. So he told me that, and then I was like, oh, so like literally days later, he told me that, and I was just like, oh damn. I was like, lucky I didn't like slap. So, yeah. Because if I checked out, I would have just been like in a different mentality, relaxed, right? And then like thankfully I stuck to it because like at that point after that tryout, I was the only one that got signed from it, which was really cool.
How many people were there in total?
I think there was about 50.
50?
Yeah, there was 50. Yeah, and that was from all they went Canada wide with the talent to bring them all into that tryout. So that was really cool. But Bianca Corelli was on that one, but she signed
in the Canadian one.
Yeah, but she didn't get signed from that one. She got signed from
Bianca who, Belair?
Corelli.
Oh, Corelli.
Tino's daughter.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So technically, from that tryout, there's two. But she got signed later on. Yeah.
I didn't know. So she got picked from there.
So that's where she was on the radar. But then she had another tryout a couple of years later, I think it was.
I mean, it always helps.
It always helps. Yeah. Once they see you, they know, they know who you are and everything. It's easier to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. I gotta say now, forming the faction, the Desi Hit Squad.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So that was something I was literally sitting on my couch at home. And then Sanjay Dutt at the time was like a producer and agent and everything. He was texting me, just like stuff ideas I had for my character and everything. And then I didn't know there was a tag team faction or anything coming. And then we shared like pictures of my gear and stuff like that. And then like he's like, cool. I gave him a bit of info about my background and stuff. And then I think it was about maybe like a week or two later, I seen like a graphic pop up and said Desi Hit Squad. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no way. And then so they came up with the name and everything. And then I seen Gama was our manager. It was me, Rohit. Bhupinder was in that originally. And then Vikas, I think it was. He was like an Indian worker in India. But primarily the run was just me, Rohit, and Gama.
Yeah. And Bhupinder as well now. What is he? Is he still in the... I know did he go to India or something, I believe? Or he went somewhere recently, Bhupinder.
He was in Australia.
Graduated somewhere or something. I seen something just pop up. Like he's doing, I don't know.
So he goes to school at St. Clair College.
Okay.
Yeah, and he did a alumni kind of like congratulatory thing.
That's
yeah,
what
so
I'm was that a reinvention of like a character?
No. That was real. That was real. Yeah.
But then I gotta say now, one match highlight was Desi Hit Squad versus LAX.
Yeah.
It was Ortiz, Santana. Obviously, you have Conan, legendary beside him. Like that, just those guys there, especially Mike Santana, what he's doing now, and then all that. Like how, like that match right there. Let's talk about that match.
That was cool, man. So that was in Mexico as well, and that crowd was hot, man. That was the first time TNA went to Mexico, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
And the crowd was on fire, and I remember like. I think it was Santana told me, he's like, yeah, we got you guys tonight and all this. I was like, oh, wicked. And then like when we came out there, we was like really, really strong heels like there. And then I remember when their song hit, in the ring it went dark. So I was just talking to Rohit and I'm like, dude, like look around. And they're like, we were looking at the crowd and they were like, they were gonna kill us. I was just like, yeah. But it was like I loved that stuff, like that. Like they were real into it, and that was really fun to get in there with caliber guys like that. And that was a really strong test for our tag team at the time. But the only shame of that was the Mexico tapings was my last set, but it was like. We had some of our best matches that taping.
You went off on a high.
Yeah.
Just the match we're just talking about now, like the LAX, this and that.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So then that was I did come back one more time as with I think it was with Bhupinder as a one-off tag, but yeah, that was like my proper kind of last one. But it was like it was kind of a decision I made because if I re-signed and got not re-signed, extended and then got a visa and stuff, I would have stayed there. But like everything happens for a reason, exactly. And like I knew what I needed to do at that point to progress further.
I mean, your accolades speak for yourself. You went to NXT UK, part of WWE. Like, I mean, it's like the Mecca, obviously.
Yeah,
right? So, I mean,
yeah.
As it goes along, I'm sure your accolades and stats will keep going. Now in Toronto, you fought Grado and Joe Henry.
Yeah.
Like just the stardom that Joe Henry's got, like just right now, like on a like just viral. Like how was that even against him? That was before his whole. I mean, he still had the believe in Joe Henry gimmick.
Yeah.
But how was that just at a young? No, I wouldn't say younger, but at the beginning of the viral Joe Henry.
So a lot of the stuff he's doing now, he was doing that. So it was something that just needed eyes on it.
Yeah,
because he was doing a lot of like funny stuff and then like
and stuff,
he was doing a lot of that even back then. And then I was just like, man, this stuff's quite funny. But when he would do it in the UK, they really got it because they had more time to witness it.
And they love the chants like soccer.
Like, so then they had when he was doing it on TNA at that point, it was like sporadic. So it's like something if you see it more often, you get it's more
like,
catchy,
oh, yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So in Europe they were getting that, but in the States and on TV, that I don't think it was getting communicated that way. And then I just knew that he would. Like I remember at that point, I think Mexico was his last taping as well, and I remember me and him were actually sitting talking about it in the lobby, and then we were like, we were both having the same thing with the visa. The same visa issues and stuff.
He's from the UK.
He's from the UK,
But doesn't he proclaim that he's Scottish or Scotland or?
Oh, UK. So the UK is United Kingdom. Okay. So like, UK isn't just England. Yeah, so Scotland's part. Yeah. So like when people usually just say UK, it's they think of England. Yeah. So he.
Fact.
So like he, I think he must have like a US visa or something like that, obviously to do what he's doing. But it was cool just talking to him about it. And then I remember when I moved to the UK just before I signed with the WWE, I saw him at I think he was a Ring of Honor show I went to go watch. And then we spoke a little bit briefly then about it and stuff. And it's just cool. Like he's really, really good dude. And I'm super happy for everything that's happening for him.
Exactly. Yeah. I got to say now, crossbody wrestling blue ribbon champion. Let's talk about that right there, crossbody.
Right.
That popped up as well, one of your accolades.
Yeah, crossbody was pretty cool. So that was that's a promotion in Kitchener, I think. Yeah, Kitchener's their main base, and that was a cool. Like they had like a really intimate, small crowd, and it was a place where you could just wrestle and like get some good reps in and try things out and stuff like that, and that was a cool place to do that. And some of the matches I had there were really good too. Yeah. And then I won that title, which was really cool. But that place was finding promotions like that. It really, you can try a lot of stuff, and then it develops you more as like your character and things like that. And add to your accolades. Exactly. And then like when I would do a lot of these shows, I'm like, one of my strongest suits is my promo skills. Yes. And I'm like, I want to give me the mic. So it's like, that's where I'd like practice and get like my reps in and like try something with the crowd. I'm like, oh yeah, you know. But the same thing, you can do that with your wrestling in there and try different stuff. And it's nice, the crowd there, because they're really into it, but they know like everyone's trying to like find themselves or test something, so they kind of push you a little bit, which is really cool.
You said promo and stuff. Like, who do you think like hands down, like from past and present, has the best promo skills? People say Flair, people say perhaps a lot of wrestlers, but who would you say has the best promo?
The Rock.
The Rock, for sure.
Yeah. I'd say like, there's so many guys with amazing promo skills, like Flair, like you said, Rock, Austin.
Even like, Bret Hart is good. Like, there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are good. Like, even now, like Roman is
Roman's
great.
Off.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Roman's great. And it's
Paul Heyman beside him.
Yeah,
I think hands down he has to be one of the best like managers of all time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Paul Heyman. Even like if you want to put. Because when people talk about promo skills, they'll just put wrestlers in the equation. But if you put Paul Heyman in there,
he'll just pass everybody.
Yeah, he's great too. But it's something that you can get reps in with your promos, but I feel like you have it already, and it's just learning how to expand on it and open it up and find out who you are. But I feel like it's not something you can teach.
Yeah,
and I've kind of figured that out when I've come across people that are lacking that skill, and you can't teach it.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
it comes to you naturally.
Yeah,
like right here on the spot right now, in a nice way. Shoot a promo at me, 5-10 seconds. Right. just give it to me. Just give it to me right there.
No. If I go into Rohan Raja right now, the table's gonna break and everything.
I love it. I'm gonna say that as well. You fought Destiny Wrestling. Jim Duggan, WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I mean, obviously that was at a point where he's like, I mean, he's older and stuff, but just to be in that ring with him is it's unique. It's different at that point.
Yeah. So I loved working for Destiny when Iceman was running it. Yeah. And I was like probably one of the top heels at the time in that promotion, and like, yeah, the things I would get, the matches and the spots were like really cool. Yeah. But then he mentioned that he was trying to get Hacksaw. And then I was like, no way. And I was like, come on. I was like, no way. Like, dude, he won the Rumble before I was even born.
Yeah.
Like
the first one, I believe, in Hamilton was the first one ever. 87, I believe.
Yeah. Wow. So I wasn't even born. Like, my brother wasn't even born yet. And then I was just like, I was just like, no way. And then I I was like, okay, you hear a lot of stuff in wrestling, and then you're just like, oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But you don't want to throw all your hope into it, because if it doesn't happen, you'll get bummed out. Anyway, it's getting closer and closer, and he's like, it's going to be a flag match. And I was like, no way.
Oh, like how you used to have those traditional on the
pole on the pole flag. And I was like, no way. And I was just like, because I didn't know how he looked at that point. And I seen him at like glimpses at conventions, like videos and stuff, but I hadn't met him at that point yet. And it looks good, but it's different, like, to just get in there and wrestle around still, right? And I remember when I met him backstage and everything, he was so nice, so nice. And he was just like, he's just like, kid, this is what I think we should do, kid. And like telling me, like talking to me about stuff. And then when we were out there, like the way he talks in there and stuff is like,
he's so
man,
professional.
it's a different level.
I always have respect for him as well, because I met him at a convention. I wanted to do a little interview with him, and he was so nice. He legit stopped the crowd of maybe like 50 people. He's like, come on, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, like all eyes on you. But like, he's so nice and genuine. And his wife with him too as well. I don't know if she was there at that point, but she always goes with him everywhere, but just nice people.
Exactly. And that, like, those are the type of people in wrestling that stick out to you. And I remember when we were talking and everything, and then I found out like what was going to happen, the outcome and everything. Then I realized it was going to be his last match. So that was his last match ever.
So you had the honor to have his last match.
Yeah, I had Hacksaw Jim Duggan's last match. Like guys, I had Hacksaw Jim Duggan's last match.
Way.
So yeah,
wow.
Man, that really was like another profound honor for me to have. Yeah, and I was like, damn, I'm wrestling his last match.
He fought all the greats: Warrior, Hogan, Giant, Andre, everybody.
So it was that was a really another thing in my career that's stood out for me, and it's something that when you have pleasures of doing stuff like that, like you can't really explain the feeling that it's
surreal.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now let's talk about the NXT now. Your debut, was it against Tealman, I believe,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
let's talk about that match right there. Much like, how are the feels going into like that NXT, like I made it? Because WWE is like, obviously, like you go anywhere, AEW, whatever it is, but people always say it's like the mecca of wrestling.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, like there's like levels, and I mean like AEW, no disrespect to what everybody thinks still great, but the WWE is like the mecca, as they say.
Yeah, because
like, just to get where you were right there, how was that feeling?
Exactly, because it's just like one of those things, like you're saying, when you talk to just even a casual fan about wrestling, they'll say like, oh, like WWE.
Exactly.
It's always WWE. Like that's everyone knows what WWE is. So yeah, when I got there, and even when I was in the Performance Center, and I remember one day when I was training at the Performance Center, I was like looking around and seeing the WWE banners and like all the, and I was just like, this is crazy. I was like, here we go. And then it just makes me want to like, every time I get pressure is when I perform at my best, like when a high pressure situation's on. If I don't have enough pressure, I feel like sometimes I'll just take it easy.
Yeah.
But like, man, it was just so surreal. And then when it was coming closer to my debut, Tia Man, his real name's Metahan, was like, hadn't met him before. And then it was, I didn't know, like, I was like, I've seen glimpses of him work, but it's like, you never know how it'll go in there and stuff, like how you'll gel. And we had a really good match for my debut and everything. And it was, the weird part of that is I debuted when it was in COVID.
Oh,
so there was no crowd. Yeah, so that was weird.
Was that less pressure for you, or?
No, I feel like the crowd. So when you kind of walk out there with the lights kind of blinding, so you can't really see so it's just like, you just see the highlight in the ring, and then when you see the lights on the camera, you know it's go time.
Yeah, it's go time. Yeah.
So then you're thinking, okay, even if there's no people here, there's like millions of people watching.
Production, everything.
Exactly,
like,
and
no
then
up here.
and Gorilla, Shawn Michaels is there, so it's just like I'm not like that's the ultimate pressure there. But like I said, with the pressure situation, it really puts me into another gear, and I got great feedback after that, and just like time and time again, even. I remember when I wrestled Nathan Fraser. He's a tag champ. After the match, when the cameras cut off, Sean went over the intercom and was like, he's like, are you boys good? And we're like, yeah, we're good. And then he's just like, what did he say? He's like, well done, kids. That was a hell of a match, or something like that. Yeah, and I was just like, and I just looked at him, at Fraser, and we just looked at each other, and I was like, oh man, that's cool.
Because that's your favorites growing up.
Yeah.
So how was that moment? Did you actually get to speak to him at all? Like,
yeah. Wow. So me and Sean, I remember the first long chat we had, I had a private Zoom session with him, and we spoke for about an hour.
So he even did the UK as well. NXT.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
he was at the time it was Triple H was mainly doing NXT, and then Sean was head of NXT UK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's-
so
wow,
Sean,
okay.
so
Learning new
NXT UK
things.
was Sean's baby.
Okay, wow,
Yeah,
okay, I
so
didn't
he
know
was
that.
heavily invested
Wow.
into that. So Sean and Matt Bloom were like the two main guys for NXT UK, and then but Matt Bloom would be the second, going back and forth.
And
is
people that
what
don't
I
know
believe.
about Bloom, what's his name? Fat Albert.
Yeah, Prince
sorry.
Albert and stuff
Yeah,
like
Prince
that.
Albert,
Yeah. Lord Tensai, he's done so. Matt Bloom is super underrated. Like if you see some of his matches in Japan and just his psychology, he really gets it, which is cool. Like there's a lot of wrestlers that I come across when I was growing up, and you'd watch them, but it would like they wouldn't particularly be your favorites, right? Because like everyone was drawn to guys like
big-
Austin, Rock,
yeah,
like
all that stuff,
Hogan. And then you speak to these guys and their understanding of the business and their understanding of
Another
psychology
level.
is like great.
And I think that's why they probably keep them with them, like behind the scenes.
Yeah,
like, because they just know so much. Like they know, like Triple H, Trump, like the higher guys, even Vince and stuff. They just know who, like the brains of the operation.
exactly,
'Cause you see,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
You see him there, and you also see nowadays, like as well. He was Kurt Angle's so-called son. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about? Like
Jason Jordan.
he's
Yeah,
also in the
yeah,
backstage.
yeah.
You see, like obviously, you see those guys, like so many different guys as well. Like not Lance. It was the other guy as well. What's his name? He's a little small guy. WWE. He was like a cruiserweight one time. Jamie Noble.
Jamie Noble.
That's
Yeah,
what I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
He
yeah.
always has those guys. Are like, what are they still doing around here? Because they come break up the fights. But then you take it in, they're always at the gorilla with them.
Yeah.
So I think these guys just have the knowledge that, like, you never expect them, but they have the knowledge.
Yeah, so those guys like mainly producers and agents for the
Yeah.
matches, and they're when you talk to them, guys like that, they're just so good.
Yeah.
They're just so good, and they get it. Like Jamie Noble is someone that doesn't get enough credit, and he's someone like at another level. And,
was great, yeah.
and especially one guy that he does get a lot of credit, but is TJ Tyson Kidd.
Oh, yeah,
he is
great.
he
Great.
was phenomenal, but like his psychology is like next level,
Top tier. And especially
Yeah.
when he still does as well as, Natalia, all this and all that stuff he does. Like,
Yeah.
it's just some different level. They actually bring people into the actual. Did you ever go train with them at their.
So I'm there's an open invite for me to go. So I've been meaning to go there,
Yeah.
but I definitely want to go there and like roll around with TJ and Natty and stuff.
Pick their brains up a
pick
little
their
bit.
brains, yeah.
Because regardless, like Natalia is like her brains just like one of the, like, besides being the diva, they don't get as much credit, but she's like one of the best to do it. She's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Technical wrestlers as well.
Yeah, like she can hold herself against anyone really. Like
Yeah.
you put her in there with her wrestling skill and everything is
Top
very
tier.
superior. And a lot of these guys and girls that are really good are trained the Canadian way.
Canadian-
Yeah, they're trained the Canadian way. Yeah, right? Canadian trained. But honestly, like I don't want to put puts too much gloat on Canada, but Canada really does train wrestlers really, really good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go, I'm not saying like anywhere else is different or bad or anything like that. Like there's different types of wrestling, like Japanese style's great, American style's great. Like there's just so much, the European style, like, but like Canadian wrestlers is just something I feel like they just really learn how to, and how I was taught, but you really learn how to work the crowd and learn to I love just going out there and just knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And then just
feeding off the
figuring
crowd.
it out,
Yeah,
and
feeding
feeding
off.
off the crowd and feed off the guy you're with. And it's just like, that's how you create like magic, in my opinion. And it's just like, that there really takes a skill, because you can kind of just go in there. If you just rehearse a match time and time again, then it's like there's skills to pull it off and like to do certain things, but you already know what you're going to do before you go in there, right?
So you just want to add the extra spontaneous magic.
Yeah, and that's, you feel that, and like with other workers, they'll see it and they'll be like, damn man, that was awesome. Like you called out on the fly, or like, you really judge that situation well. And a lot of the veterans and the old timers really respect that and just be like, man, this kid knows what he's doing. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about before Tillman and stuff. He's under one segment, he snaps your arm.
Yeah.
Then you go and do like a whole promo, like, I'm gonna come back, but then you tag with him. How did that all come about there? Like, how did that all come about?
So Sean, when I had that long chat with Sean, he was telling me ideas of what they wanted to do, and they said, you guys have never crossed paths, but we think that you guys would be a great tag team together. Wow. And I was like, interesting. So this was before we had our one-on-one debut. And then I was like, that'll be interesting. And then the thing is, like, with tag teams is like, at that point I was really close with like Sam when I was tagging with him, and like even Rohit. So it's like, we didn't really know each other. So then I was like, how is it going to go? What if we don't get along? And then at first, on my side, I think on his too, I think it was something like, oh, I don't think we're going to get along. But dude, I love Metahan, and he's a good friend of mine. And it's something that, stuff like that, if Sean never pitched that, I would have never had the friendship I have with him today. And like some of the matches we had, I'm super proud of, and especially I think it was our Fatal 4-Way Elimination NXT Tag Team.
It was for the
title.
Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, that was my favorite match of my time in WWE, and it's just Metahan's someone that gets it, and he's been surrounded with guys like Gunther and Ilya and like those boys
that are on top of the
world. So he's learned from those boys though that sort of style, and it's cool because like you can see glimpses of that, but with his own taste into it. And he's someone too, I really hope he gets back. He's doing great things in Europe and Germany, but he's definitely someone who deserves to be back in the WWE for sure.
Exactly. Now you also fought a young Nathan Frazier.
Yeah.
Like, how was that in the ring with him?
That was cool. So that was something I remember before that match. We were both backstage in the locker room, and we were both kind of talking about it. Like, we both wanted something to prove, and both wanted to like go at it. It was a banger. Yeah, and it was really good. And then like our agent was Walter Gunther, and he pretty much just said, "You boys go get it." And then like he kind of came up with finish at the end, but like everything else was just on us. So they kind of just trusted us how we go, which that's the way to do it in my opinion. And that was during the match. I think it was about even just a couple minutes in, I was like, not even a couple minutes in, like 30 seconds in, I was like, this is gonna be a banger. Yeah, sure. You just know some guys, even with a lockup, you just know that you got
right off the bat.
Yeah,
I seen the match. I'm like, holy shit! I don't swear, but holy shit!
Yeah,
this is a good match. Holy.
Yeah, that was really cool, and to have that, I feel like it's really hard for people to understand. To have a good match in 10 minutes or less takes a very hard skill. When you have time, when you've got like a 20-minute time limit or a 30-minute segment, you've got time to slow down and register and tell a story. You have more time to tell a story. You have more time to get the fans invested. But when you're on 10 minutes or even under, even a 5-minute match, you have to do all of that in 5 minutes.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, you can't go too fast. Yeah. So it's a very thing to master. So
we usually get like the refs, like they tell you obviously like they tell you like 2 minutes or 1 minute.
They'll give you time cues, and like obviously the refs in the WWE are just
top tier,
spectacular. Yeah, they're great. But most of the refs on like any sort of big company are all fantastic. But the refs are someone too that don't get enough credit too, because they can really, you can use them so much for your advantage and to continue to tell the story. And like the ref is such an important part of having a good match. If you don't have a good ref, you probably won't have a good match. If you don't like, the ref needs to know what's going on, what he's doing. That's why, like, when you think of all-time great refs, when you look back at it, like Hebner, Kyoto, like, you know, Jimmy, like those sort of guys stand out as just not only because they were like, people just remember them from TV. They really meant a lot to a lot of the guys that they were in there with. So
like you like to call them, even you could say the eyes and the ears. If you think about it, the ears and the eyes of the whole match.
Exactly. And one ref that doesn't, he gets credit, but he doesn't get enough credit, and he's on the Ontario scene, is Harry D.
Oh, Harry D.
You know,
it's funny.
He's
thing is,
the man.
I was at the other show during the HWE, whatever, and my buddies were just watching, and then they all start screaming, Harry D. Harry D.
Yeah.
But he's the nicest guy as well.
Yeah, dude.
But he's great at what he does.
Exactly. And he's been someone who's been around for, like, he refed in WCW.
Yeah.
So he's been around for so long, and he has no ego.
Yeah.
No ego. And I remember, like, he was a ref for this title match, and he was like, man, it's such a honor to ref this match and for you and everything. And I'm just thinking, It's an honor for you. It's an honor for me. Like, dude, it's just like, man, he's just such a nice guy, and it's rare to come across a really nice guy in the business that's really good as well. Yeah. So it's like, you know, that said it better. Yeah, that's a very rare thing to find for sure.
Exactly. Now, if you could sum up now your whole NXT WWE like experience, like overall, like if you could sum it up.
I would say it's everything in my career has happened. I feel like the path I've taken is exactly where I've meant to be, and learning the stuff I did with TNA evolved me to be ready to learn the stuff with the WWE, and then my time with the WWE, learning what they look for, what's the right way, what are the things that you can do to maximize your performance and maximize your character and everything. WWE really gave me that set of skills, and I pretty much took that and then I've applied it as I keep going on, and then this is a representation here of what has happened with those experiences and what happens, and essentially what with time to come is just gonna keep going up like that, and especially with a lot of the cool things I have coming up. This year is gonna be my biggest year for sure. Yeah, so there's some really cool things coming up too, which is really cool. But it definitely, WWE, having that experience with WWE definitely was something that I needed at that point, and it definitely was something where I'm so glad that I got to go outside and then completely find my character. Like my ravenous character wouldn't have came up if if it wasn't for that. And it's something where it just keeps, there's so much to it that I'm gonna keep, you know, doing and revealing out there as we go. But yeah, it really does stem of going the right route for the type of career you want to have.
I got a goosebump. Holy yeah. I get it. So let's talk about this right there. Cool. PWA title versus Jake something in the return of Maple Leaf Wrestling. Yeah. That is iconic. Yeah. I even asked Brett about that in the interview. He's like, yeah, they're coming back. And you won gold that day. Let's talk about that, how you got that right there.
So that was surreal, man. So when I heard about Maple Leaf when I was a kid. Of course. And then, like, obviously when I'd come back to Canada, like, I remember even at one point there was talks in the locker room and be like, man, do you remember that? Like, the boys would talk about it. And then, like the older veterans at the time, and I was just like, man, some of these guys had the privilege of even attending these shows and stuff. And then when I found out it was coming back and Scott was contacting me about it and everything, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I didn't know I was coming for this belt. I didn't even know it was getting designed at the point, but it was getting designed pretty early on. And then he mentioned it to me and said, this is what we're doing with the title, and it's going to be the Champion's Grail. And I was like, man, this is awesome. And then I had an idea of kind of who I was going to get in there with, and I love Jake. Jake something is such a good worker. And we every time I've been in the ring with him, we've just gel. And it was... Yeah, I remember even coming to TV on the first day. Because I hadn't seen the setup, I didn't know what it was going to be like. Oh, wow. So then I was just like, okay, so I think that was for all the boys. You just didn't know how big it was going to be. But looking back, I should have known, because everything Scott gets involved in, it's always like, big. Yeah,
it has to be like on the next level.
But then when I walked in, I was just like seeing how many people were backstage, like the producers, writers, like the cameras, and like everyone was top. Yeah, a lot of people. Exactly, and all the big boys that were there, and even the agents, like D'Lo was there. Like there was just so much. D'Lo Brown was my agent legendary. For that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And there was just so many like guys there that wanted to just. You just knew. I remember just sitting backstage when Scott did like a pep talk before the show. Yeah. You just knew it was going to be big. It was.
I see photos. I think Alexander. It was like some old school WWE as Vincent gets everybody together.
Yeah. It was like that. Yeah. Like that's when he was talking to us all, and it was something that you just knew at that point. You're like, big. This is going to be huge. And then the stuff since then, how much it's elevated Canada, because Canada hasn't had a WWE like promotion in so long. And then it's like now it's like, I know TNA were doing the Canada tapings and stuff, but they're primarily an American company, right? This is Canadian,
and especially Maple Leaf Gardens returning.
Exactly. Yeah, so in May, it's like, you know, we've got our tapings in March 14, 15 in Windsor. I'll be defending this again there.
I gotta know one thing: defended it in Toronto. Is it happening?
Yeah, well, I'm confident to say I'm going to defend it. It has to happen, because whoever I go against in Windsor, I'm gonna do everything I can to keep it, and I'm gonna make sure my performance is like at a 10 out of 10.
Leaf Gardens, come on.
Yeah,
now.
because I want to be
now.
in the Gardens holding that.
Come on now.
I want to cut a promo in the Gardens. Like I want to do it all, and it's just like that's gonna be historic, and there's gonna be some big names at that show. There's gonna be.
Brett said the Maple Leaf Gardens was his favorite to fight out of. So just imagine that there, like it doesn't get
Right, exactly. And with him saying that, maybe he'll be there, maybe not. Maybe you know what I mean.
Now I gotta say, now when they told you you're gonna win that, did you know anything beforehand, or was it the day of?
I knew leading into it, but the thing with wrestling is you just don't. You never know until it happens. Until that 3 happens, I wasn't sure I was winning it. Honestly, man. Because like even when I got to the building, and then I found out the finish and everything, and I was just like, okay, it's like I was excited, but then I was like, I've heard stories of being in the ring and the ref will be like, we're switching it. So mid match, I've heard stories like that. So then it's like,
if you think you're gonna win,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. So then it's like to be super professional and like not be upset for any reason, because if Jake won that, I wouldn't have been upset or anything. But it's like if I was like, oh, I'm gonna win, and then I don't win, and then it's just like it's kind of like oh damn. But like yeah, it was until that 3 count happened.
And you did the seek and destroy.
Yeah, the seek and destroy. Which is called the feast now.
Okay.
Which is called the feast now. But yeah, when I hit that and then the 1, 2, 3, that reaction I had was genuine. That's all. I was like, oh my God, I won it. So that was like finding out for the first time I won it.
Best feeling probably for sure.
Yeah. And then Harry said something really nice. I can't share it. It was personal, but like in my ear when I was lifting it, I said to him at the back, I was like, dude, I swear to God, if you made me cry, I would have had to hit you. Yeah. Because I didn't want any sympathy or anything like that. Like I love this being a heel persona and that moment there. And what I wanted to go for in it, and I got so much praise for it, was afterwards I was like, I want to cut an immediate promo. After my match, I want to cut an immediate promo.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I cut an immediate promo after my match. Like when you watch it back, it's very similar to how Austin did his King of the Ring.
No way.
Yeah, so, and that's what I was going. And I remember my brother messaged me, and he was like, it just put in capitals, he's like, oh, I got Austin King of the Ring vibes and stuff. And I was like, that's exactly what I was going for. That was like, and yeah, I got so much praise for that. And that whole performance I had that weekend, I just set the bar, and I just showed people why I am the champion, why I should be the champion. And it really is something, because this is the title for Maple Leaf. It represents the PWA, but this is Maple Leaf's title. And, you know, the only championship they have is that, and I'm the champion.
Now, was this actual first title, like, actually on that night, like, given to somebody?
This one?
Yeah.
Like, to me? Like, is this...
the Maple Leaf, yeah. During for the pro wrestling, was that the only title that night that was actually...
Oh, yeah. So this was the other bit. There was like a AEW title that was on the line that night as well, but this was the only Maple Leaf title. Yeah. So it was very cool. And then even the promo package. So when I was in gorilla position, and the promo package was excellent. Like their guys and everything. It was just excellent. Yeah, exactly. And it was just, I was watching, and I was like, holy shit, this is like a WWE caliber type like promo bit. Yeah, like old school stuff. And then I was just like, damn. And then just watching that and the goosebumps I was getting, I was so ready. And then like even when I was making my entrance, I could hear Maro on commentary, and even just to have him and Don Callis on commentary, you know, how they were talking about me on commentary, and the stuff they were saying was so cool. And then even it was cool after those Maple Leaf shows, literally like I think it was like a few weeks later or a month later, Mauro Ranallo is the lead commentator for Mike Tyson's last fight.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's just like he's
Jake Paul and Tyson fight.
Yeah. So it's just like he's everywhere, and he's just like he's such a good commentator, and he's another guy who's like a super humble guy. And it was just there was just so many star-studded guys at just this one show, and then for me to be able to perform and show people why I deserve that was just such a profound honor. And you know, with all the title defenses I have coming up, like I'm defending this in Qatar, which is very cool.
February, what is it, 20?
February 2021, 22. Yeah.
Wow.
So
they're letting you defend that on the road.
Yeah. So certain promotions that I get
Don't lose it.
Yeah. No, but this goes in my carry-on everywhere.
Yeah.
So I had to take it to Australia
How's
for
the security check-in for this?
They-
Goes off the meter.
Yeah, it goes off. So they open it and they're like, "What is it?" And they're like, "What's in here?" And then I was just like,
You explain.
I was just like, "Oh, just open it." And then they was just like, a lot of them have been. I think 3 of them that so far have been like wrestling fans.
You ever seen him actually hold it like?
Yeah, they'll open it. He's like, "Oh, can I take it out?" And I was just like, "Sure." I was like, "It's all right." And then like one guy was like calling his buddies, and then I had like a surround. You would have thought I just got arrested by airport security. And then yeah, it's cool because it always gets off, but it's a nice story to tell. But I always make sure it's on my carry on because this is one of one. There's no replica. There's no nothing. There's
bring it with you everywhere.
Yeah, there's stuff on there that's been from the original Ricky Doosan's trophy. So it's like I cannot lose it. If I lost it for any reason, I might as well hide. Yeah, I would have assassins coming up. Yeah. I'll change my name. I'm someone else.
I love it now. Now for the part where the fans love this. Now, the favorite part of when I do the show.
Yeah.
Now, fan questions. Dream match for you, past and present. Who would you love to face? Somebody from the past and present. You could only choose one.
Oh, can I? So one past, one present.
Let's go for it.
Okay, past Kurt Angle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kurt Angle for
one of your
sure.
favorites.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won the show March 15th.
Yeah, I saw that.
Come by, please.
I will.
Please.
March 15th. Oh, that's one of the Maple Leaf shows. Yeah.
So Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle for sure. I feel like Kurt Angle in his prime was just something else. Such a good worker, and so many of my favorite matches is with Kurt in it. And I just feel like getting to wrestle him, even at this point in my career now, but like that would be so cool. Like to even just picture even wrestling him at the Gardens for this would be awesome. Another one would be present. This is because he's still there, and I've always wanted. And I've said it in an interview before. Is Randy
Orton?
Yeah,
wow.
Randy Orton. That would be. I'd love to wrestle him in the WWE one day. And I was because I thought he was going to retire soon. And then I remember he had an interview saying like, "I've got like 10 more years."
10 more years. Yeah.
I was just like,
"Oh, waste of time, I guess."
I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "Thank you." There, that's all I needed to hear. But just to wrestle, like, I remember listening to an interview Bryan Danielson had, and he goes, "I was so excited to wrestle Triple H," and he goes because Triple H was almost like the last of that breed. The attitude. Yeah. He goes, "There's not many of those left, right?" So then now it's like they're all kind of gone. So now the next guys would be like the Randys and like Cena's almost gone now as well. And like, those, once they're gone, it's like, it's a privilege to have these guys here. So I want to get in the ring with Randy before he hangs it up, which I'm going to say this right now. I know I am. I'm going to say this right now. I know I am. And it's something that Kurt, I can just dream because obviously he's retired and everything. But like with Randy, I'll definitely make that a reality.
That'll be iconic for sure.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask now, favorite place to fight? You've been Mexico, UK, Canada. Where's your favorite place to fight out of?
Oh, that's a hard one, man. That's a real hard. Do you know what? I'm going to say it. Canada.
Really?
Yeah, Canada. Canadian wrestling fans are really, really, really appreciate what you're trying to do, and they really appreciate the business. Like fans like in Mexico, in Europe and everything, and like Australia, like there's so many that are just great. Like the wrestling fan base around the world is just fantastic. But the Canadian wrestling fans, it's just something else. And I feel like so many of my big moments has happened in this country, and it has that effect on me. And I feel like maybe that's a little bit of bison, but I truly believe the Canadian wrestling fans are just great. And even every time there's a big show here or something, like Canadian wrestling fans take it. Yeah, like WrestleMania here.
Yeah, WrestleMania 18.
Right? Yeah.
Icon versus icon.
Yeah, in the Skydome. So it's just like that's something that just, you watch that and you're like, where is that? You're like, Toronto.
And WrestleMania 6 as well, a Hogan versus Warrior.
That's exactly. So it's just like, he'll probably come back soon. Exactly. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm just like, man, it's just next level in Canada. But there are so many other places. Like I can't wait to wrestle in Qatar.
That's different. You ever did that before, Qatar?
Never wrestled in Qatar. And I'm going to be wrestling in India for the first time in March.
Homecoming.
Yeah, and that's the most requested country to wrestle in for me, that I get in socials and everything.
Or Canadian flag?
Whatever.
But like you got to.
We'll see, but I want to do a special. So we've got this instrument in India called the dol. It's kind of like it's like a big drum, and you put the strap around your neck. You've probably seen it, and
I
it's
seen
like
that at a boxing event one time. I think they did an intro for some guy. And
yeah, it's very similar. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I'd love to have like before my music hits, is a guy play it. And then my music starts to hit, and then he plays it with the music, and then when the beat drops, then he just keeps going with it. I was like,
that's like some whole
I was like, that'd be wicked. Yeah.
I see the clip now. Besides all the questions here, I'm gonna pause. I seen the clip that you taught MVP how to play FIFA.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I'm a big soccer fan myself. Now, like,
oh wait, before you continue, who's your favorite team?
I like Manchester United. EPL.
Oh, dude.
No. But like, I'm obviously Greek, so I like Olympiacos. But growing up, I liked Real Madrid because I'm a Zidane fan. So
okay, fair enough.
But EPL, Manchester United.
Okay.
I just love like Ferguson, like Alex. Like he's just like legendary coach. Like,
do you know what my club is?
You're probably gonna say Liverpool.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yeah. I'm gonna walk up the show.
Shows up. I said, how did that come about? Like teaching MVP because he's a big footy fan himself.
Yeah. So like I remember. So that was in England, and I just moved to England, and we had a show together. I think it was Somerset, if I believe, and we were both staying at one of my buddies' house that I trained with in Storm. And then I remember like, so when the show was happening, me and him were like backstage. I've hung out with him like everywhere. He's a real brother. He's a good brother. I was playing FIFA. I just put it on, like, and then he comes in the room. He's just like, he looked a bit angry. He's like, "What's this?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's just like, "You gonna play this and not invite me?" And then I was like, "Oh," I was like, "You want to play?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Teach me though." No, he's like, "I don't know how to play." So I was like teaching him how to play FIFA and everything.
That's
and
why I see
like,
him. I'm like, no, that's why I have to ask you.
Yeah. He's a cool dude, man. Like we've hung out like on. I think I remember last time I saw him. He's like, "Do you know we've hung out and drank together on 3 different continents?" And I was like, no way.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you play FIFA still?
No. So like now it's like it's very hard to. I love games and everything, but it's hard with the time. But like I haven't played FIFA in a while. But like, man, I was good.
I play every night.
Yeah.
I do gamer tag JP Toronto. I just love it. It's like something like a pastime. Like not like you just pass your time. Like when before I go to bed, I'm gonna play one game, ends like 5 games, and you lose. You're like, oh, forget this.
Yeah. And then if you're on a win streak, you're gonna see daylight the next day. You're like, oh no.
I love it. I gotta ask you now, Mount Rushmore. Your Mount Rushmore wrestlers. Who would you add up right there? It's very controversial here.
Do you know this is a hard one because like you can do the list different ways, right? Like, all right,
you're gonna have it.
All right, I'll try it. Okay, so
it can be your favorites.
Austin.
Oh, for sure.
I put Austin on there.
Yes.
The Rock.
Yep.
Flair.
Yep.
And I'm gonna put Roman.
Roman, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put
JBL
Roman.
recently said he actually said Roman. He doesn't get enough crazy. He says like just what he's doing this new generation.
Yeah, Roman's someone once he's finished and people like, you know, when someone retires and then everyone starts to enjoy their matches and stuff like that. Him. Oh, dude, he's so good now, and pound for pound, I rank Roman still like the number 1 guy right now. He's just such a privilege to watch, and I think he's on the
Roman
Mount
for sure. Yeah,
Rushmore.
especially like what he's been doing, even the bloodline, the last like say like in the last decade or so, just the factions itself. We never had that as powerful faction as him. You go in stadiums, you see bloodline shirts. The talk of town, and the story keeps going on. Like Solo comes and takes on like the cousins. It's just like some story that just never ends.
Exactly, and he's made with what he's done with the group. With Solo coming, he's made stars like that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's made stars like that.
Jacob, all these guys,
all of those guys just turn into instant stars, and it all because of Roman.
Yeah.
Roman's work with it, you know, Roman, Paul Heyman, just all it together. But like Roman really, he gets credit, but he's going to get so much more credit when he's done.
Exactly. Yeah. I think because when people say the GOAT and stuff too, to me, I think it's a very like generational thing, like different generations.
Exactly.
Because like you can't obviously like, say like even for basketball, for instance, like people say Jordan, but I didn't grow up in there. I could say LeBron perhaps, right? But obviously people say the stats, but it's like it's just a generational thing.
Yeah, it is a generational thing. And then that's why I try to look at it, because like if someone said, oh, but this is the Mount Rushmore, and put like Hogan, Andre, like you know,
Dennis,
guys
how
like,
about the new like Cena could go up there as well.
Yeah, Cena could go up. There's so many guys that you can put on there. So it really kind of a thing is like, what mood are you feeling, or like what kind of Mount Rushmore do you want? Where it's like the talkers, the wrestlers, the tech.
Exactly. It could be.
Yeah, you got to change up the categories, but like like as I sit here right now, I feel like that would be
one right there.
Mount
As in
Rushmore.
factions, who is your greatest faction of all time?
Oh.
I will say Heart Foundation. I love Heart Foundation, but not really. I say realistically, that really changed the game. It has to be NWO. For me, it changed the whole format of factions and like.
I feel like the biggest statement was NWO.
And Hogan, together.
But I think the biggest thing that had the effect on me growing up, and the effect on how I look at wrestling and even taking stuff out of it. This is going to be like one that people are like, oh really? Evolution. Evolution, dude. They were so. It's kind of stupid to say underrated, but like the faction itself. They really did change so much, and it was something where Triple H was the main guy at that point, but he had Flair with him, and then they created two monsters, and the Batista and Randy, and that faction, man.
You could say underrated. I believe you. But the star wise, not even close underrated. But the faction itself,
because you wouldn't
didn't
think
last long,
right? Yeah.
The power they had, Evolution. Wow.
Exactly, because there's some factions where you'll put on cards like people together, but then sometimes it just doesn't work out. And then that one could have been something where they were like, oh, this is what they're trying to do, and it might not work out. But like even their promos, their matches, everything was just so cool. And I think as I was growing up and watching that, it really, but like even like with like DX and stuff like that, there's so many.
Because of DX with the suck. You know how many times I got like gone over like detention because of that.
Oh, dude, same when I was at school, and then I'd just be like. I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, yeah, but we're playing wrestling and stuff. We're playing, and then, because there's so much stuff in wrestling early on, especially in the Attitude Era.
Oh, it was the best.
They would say something,
and you take
but you don't even know what it meant at that point. Yeah, so like I was like with Al Snow's head.
Oh, head, yeah, you're like lost.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing when I was a kid chanting it, and I remember my dad came down and yelled at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "What?" And I was just like, "It's a mannequin's head," and I was just like, but just stuff like that. But like. There's just so much. It really is when you come to choose your favorites on things. I think it personally is how it affected you, and definitely a generational thing.
100%. I agree. Now we'll wind up to the last couple questions here. Now, young talent that come up to you and want to become wrestlers, what is the advice that you give them?
My thing is to really find out who you are, listen, take in everything that where you're going, and know your worth from the start. Know what you can be. And I feel like a lot of mistakes a lot of up-and-comers make is that they will do anything at a beckoning call, and then you got to perceive yourself as a star. So you got to look at yourself as a star, and like, I've been trying to do that since I just started, and then becoming a star, it's different. But like, you really have to look at yourself that you're a star, and you got to believe that you're a star. And if you don't have that self-belief, you won't go far. Sometimes you'll learn how to, believe in everything like that. But it really is a self-belief thing, and having that confidence and just trying to take in everything as much as you can, but knowing your worth is the biggest thing. Exactly. Knowing your worth.
What has wrestling taught you?
Patience. Yeah. I was very impatient growing up. Like, I want that new Xbox as though. Yeah. But like on a serious note, patience. And it's just a lot of things when you start, you're just like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to get to WWE, or like, the typical sort of like, you just think, oh, just a one-way kind of street there. But it really is patience. And another thing is enjoy the ride, because some of my favorite wrestlers that I meet and I talk to, a lot of them say, I wish I enjoyed the ride as more, because it's great like to have a great career afterwards. But when you're so focused on this, once you hit it, then you just look behind you, you're like, oh shit, 10 years just passed.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's like, it's something where I really have learned to enjoy the moments and enjoy how it comes. And I've really been doing that the last few years. And then it's something, when you enjoy the ride, by the time you're ready to hang up the boots, you're more at peace with it because you enjoyed it. But then if you're so focused on the end goal, it's going to feel like that when it goes by.
Can I've said it better. Now, last question. When it's all said and done, what do you want the fans to remember Rohan Raja as?
Oh man, that's a good question. I have this thing, and I've put like I can confidently say it, the way my mentality is, there's very few people like me. The way the mentality I have, the sacrifices I can make, the things I can do, the discipline I can do, there's a small group that have that discipline level that I have. And I want fans to remember to never follow your path that was destined for you, and never settle until you're satisfied with something. So like my goals, I've got so much more, and I want to be remembered on the biggest stage of them all. And I know for sure that will happen, but it's just, I want them to remember, like, just if you want something, you can get it and you can take it. And when people look at my career, I feel like I want them to be like, damn, he did that. He had this against him, he had that against him, but look what he's accomplished. And I want people to remember that, remember my work in the ring, and remember my game-changing stuff I'm going to do promo-wise.
One of the best.
Yeah.
I can tell you now, it's been an absolute honor.
Thank you, man.
Guys,
Thanks
the
for
one
having
and
me
only Rohan Raja here. Look forward, guys, to him. A lot of stuff up and coming. And look at that gold right there. That speaks for itself. Until the next episode, we're out.